Welcome to Resilience Development in Action with Steve Bisson. This is the podcast dedicated to first responder mental health, helping police, fire, EMS, dispatchers, and paramedics create better growth environments for themselves and their teams. Let's get started.
GetFree.ai. You heard me talk about it. I'm going to keep on talking about it because I love it. I've had about a year and a half, 18 months practice with it, and I still enjoy it. And it saves me time and it saves me energy. Free.ai takes your note, makes a what you're talking with a client, just press record. And it does either transcript, it does a subjective and an objective with a letter if needed for your client and for whoever might need it. So for $99 a month, it saves me so much time that it's worthwhile. And if you do it for a whole year, guess what? You get 10% off. More importantly, this is what you got to remember, because you are my audience that listens to Resilience Development in Action. If you do listen to this and you want to use free.ai, put in the code STEVE50 in the promo code area, STEVE50, and you will get $50 off in addition to everything we just talked about. Get freed from writing your notes. Get freed from even writing your transcripts. Use that to your advantage. Free.ai, a great service. Go to getfree.ai and you will get one of the best services that will save you time and money. And I highly encourage you to do so. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 236. 236 is messages from my guests from different episodes. I won't look at notes. I will look at who left notes and who left a nice video or a combination of that, but I will not look at anything and I'll speak from the heart. Let me start off with giving thanks. I know this is and yes, I can't pronounce THs, so yes, you can laugh at it. But I wanted to start off with something that's so important to me, and that is my editors. And my people who keep me, I like to call them my producers, directors, whatever you want to call them. But they really help me with cutting out the and everything else that I don't want in my episodes. Let's start off with someone who's been with me for over a couple of years now. Her name is Chelsea. Chelsea works for Steel Tiger Media. So if you want an editor, go to Steel Tiger Media and you can definitely get Chelsea to work with you. She does amazing work. Chelsea has been a helpful presence in my life. She is military. She has listened to my episodes. She has given me feedback. And ultimately, I just respect her for so many other ways. Even stuff that we recently shared. I have so much respect for her for so many reasons. And we're hopefully helping each other get to a couple of goals that we have. So wanted to put it out there for that. But from the bottom of my heart, Chelsea, thank you. I know this is something you'll probably want to edit out. Ha, ha, ha. But thank you, Chelsea. Truly couldn't do this without you. The other person I want to add is someone who I started in September or so working with her and truly have enjoyed it. And that's my other editor, director, producer, whatever you want to call her, who takes a good care of me and does fantastic editing, particularly on video, because she works for Milford TV, and her name is Dominique Champa. Love that name, by the way, and her French name first. And she's traveled the world. She is someone who has been very supportive of my podcast, has given me a lot of feedback in a good way. And everyone that's ever come to Milford TV will know, and we'll talk about a few of them today, but they will tell you how much that's pleasurable to them. So truly, truly appreciate you, Dominique. I look forward to continuing to work with you in the coming year. I can't wait to have, I would think that there's at least 2 or 3 people I'm going to have in studio that you're going to be taking care of. So thank you for that. But anyway, let's get on with the episodes. I put them in, I would like to say in no particular order, but I did put them in an order in the sense that I went from the oldest episode to the most current episode and who left a review. So let's start off with someone that I truly enjoy. I'm going to be on her podcast very soon, and I hope she comes to my podcast again because I truly enjoyed our conversation. Her name is Krista Gregg. Krista has been very supportive. She talked about her job cleaning up I don't even know what to call them, scenes, whether it's hoarding or what have you. She does a great job with that, but she talks about all the difficulties she's seen. She talks about it in episode 188. So, which all of these episodes will be linked in the show notes. But here is the message from Krista. And thank you again, Krista.
Earlier this year, I had an incredible time on Steve Bisson's podcast, all about resilience, and I had a unique angle to bring to my episode when I spoke with Steve, and it's still one of my favorite podcast interviews I've ever done. And we talked a lot about the crime and trauma scene cleaning world, and also exploring trauma and what trauma and how it's defined in our own lives and individually. So in any case, I know Steve is celebrating another year in podcasting. He is such a pro at everything he does. And I just wanted to tell him congratulations. And if you guys have not listened to this podcast yet, please do. It is chock full of information, and I know I keep tuning in. All right. Thanks, Steve, for all you do and for everything.
Next up is a personal friend of mine. I know her dad significantly better than I know her, but it doesn't mean I don't know her. Her dad worked with me. He was a parole officer and love working with him. But Jessica Jameson is someone who's come on twice now and has brought up so many good points about, mental health, first responder, taking care of oneself and how that works. Her episode was as I don't want to say because I don't like doing that, but her episode was 192. Jess is just an amazing woman. Love her. And here's her message. And thank you, Jess, for your contribution.
Hello, listeners. My name is Jess Jameson, and I'm an LMHC and trauma-informed certified personal trainer. And I've had the wonderful opportunity of being on Steve's podcast twice now, once in his very early days as a host, and then later just before his transition from finding your way to resilience development in action. We've talked about food trauma, disordered eating, and building a healthy relationship with movement and body image. My favorite thing about this podcast is how real and authentic Steve keeps it. He and his guests explore really heavy topics such as trauma and grief and the mental health of first responders, but in a way that feels hopeful, grounded, and human. I love how every episode is a reminder that healing isn't linear and that resilience doesn't mean doing it all alone.
Number 3 is someone that I really enjoyed talking to, Beth Salmo. We just had a great conversation. She is quick-witted. We exchange regularly about different things since then and truly appreciate her. I hope I can have her back on the show sooner rather than later, but Beth was very interesting. And here's our message, and thank you, Beth, for episode 204.
Oh, hi there, Steve. Beth Salmo here, Thin Line Counseling Services, just sitting here eating a nutty bar. I'm a little nutty. I like peanut butter and chocolate. Congratulations on the massive ongoing success of your podcast. I have the pleasure of being on episode 204 with you. Your badge doesn't make you bulletproof. We talked a lot about me as a psychotherapist, how I got into working with first responders and military, and resilience, and how it's really, truly okay to ask for help. Was so excited to be on the episode with you. Would love to do another. Wish you nothing but the best in the future. And I can't wait to continue cussing with you more, having more fun, and doing silly things like this. Eating on a congratulations video. So, see you soon. Bye.
Next up is someone who is the last message that I got, but I can't tell you how much I enjoy our conversation. She was someone who went down to Antarctica as an EMT and a paramedic, Elizabeth Eklund, and now she works out of Washington, and her episode was fascinating, hearing about how it works down there in Antarctica. And her passion for first responders is clear in this message, so I hope you listen to it. Episode 207 is the episode she was on. Here's our message. Elizabeth, thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Eklund, and I am the owner and operator of MindForge Therapy Group. We are in Yelm, Washington. I was able to be on Steve's show, Resilience in Action, talking about this thing that I'm very passionate about, which is healthcare and first responder health. And I was able to talk with Steve also about my time in Antarctica, working as an airport rescue firefighter. I appreciate Steve. I enjoyed being on the show, and I'd love to be on the show again to talk about this subject that we just don't have enough information out there on. And so anyway, I just wanted to say the show is important. It needs to continue, and I hope that I can be on it again to talk about this thing that I am very committed and passionate about. First responder mental health. See y'all in the future. Bye.
Now, here's a person that I've had before on the show, who I've been on his show many times, and truly part of the Psycraft Network, which is important to me. And I know we're working on exciting stuff for the new year. But Gordon Brewer, who is the founder of the Psycraft Network, has been on before. He was talking about the first responder world, how the change in his life and having a family member work as a first responder has really impacted him and the work that he does. And so here is Gordon Brewer. And Gordon, thank you so much for being on episode 211.
Well, hello, Steve, and congratulations on another year of the Resilience Development and Action podcast. I'm Gordon Brewer, and I'm the person behind the Practice of Therapy podcast. And I had the privilege of being on Steve's podcast earlier this past year, and Steve has also been a fairly regular guest on my podcast, the Practice of Therapy podcast. But Steve, I was going back and listening to the episode that we recorded on your podcast earlier this year, and just thinking about first responders and grief and trauma and all of that sort of thing, of just for people to really recognize that regardless of what sort of traumatic things they've gone through in life, they can recover and they can make it through. And I love the title of your podcast, Resilience Development, and that the thing about it is that resilience and grief is a process. It's not something where you just go to therapy and then all of a sudden you're done with grief, or you're done with the process of dealing with different things within your life. But the good news is that, and I've seen this over and over in my work with people, and also through my own therapy. I can't remember if we shared this, but I went through a couple of years ago the death of my wife, and having to work through her battle with cancer, and seeing just the downturn for her, and being with her to the very end. It has an effect on you, and you don't really realize the effect of grief because it kind of can compound itself over time. But one of the things is that I've recognized, and I would encourage your listeners to recognize, is that grief is not something you get over. It's not like you do something and you wake up one day and then it no longer affects you. Grief is something you move through. And I don't care what kind of loss it is or who it is that you've lost, or, there's different kinds of losses as well. There are the losses in which we go through life transitions, kids going off to college, or the breakup of a relationship, or any of those kinds of things are all still losses. The loss of a pet can have a profound effect on us. But, the thing about it is by talking with others and by sharing your grief with others, it has that way of healing. Grief is not something you get cured of, but it is something that you can heal from. And so that's been my life experience, and also just in the work that I've done with people over the years. So again, Steve, thanks for what you do, and just making being real and just being honest and genuine with your audience, and just telling it like it is. That's one thing I respect most about Steve Bisson, is his candor and his directness, which is much needed, particularly in this field. So take care, everyone. And again, Steve, congratulations on another great year of the Resilience Development and Action podcast.
Now, this guy, geez, I got to be careful what I say about this guy. He's a personal friend. We work on we work on a program called Fortress. Please go and check it out on our website, hopefully, because for Gambit counseling. I love working with Bill Dwinells. Bill has worked with me on the crisis team. We've done personal work, but Bill's just a genuine nice person who knows about first responders, being himself an EMT. I will not say what I've said to him before or I wrote to someone else and he got pissy about it. But if you want to know that, just leave me a note here. Click on it, and it's in the show notes. You can leave a message to me, and I can let you know what it was. But Bill Dwinells, thank you for being on episode 220, and here is his message.
Hi, this is Bill Dwinells from DwinnellsBehavioralHealth.com. I've been asked to say a few words about my appearances on Steve's podcast, Finding Your Way Through Therapy. I had the joy of participating in episodes 25, 55, 100, 220, and 221. It was a fantastic time, had a really good time with it. Steve was a fantastic host, always made me feel very comfortable discussing things with him, as well as bringing up some really good questions and topics for us to discuss. I really look forward to the chance to do it again with him. I guess that's all I have to say. Fantastic. Great job, Steve. Keep up the good work. You're really making a difference with the podcast and all the other activities that I know you do. Happy holidays to everyone, and see you guys around.
Well, the next guest for episode 221, Deidre Gastrin, will love talking about how we can prevent burnout, how we're going to work on thriving in the community of first responders to work together. And it was a great interview. I know she was nervous about it, but I can't wait to have her back on. Episode 221, Deidre Gastrin. Here's her message, and thank you again for your presence on my podcast.
Being a guest on the Resilience Development and Action podcast is a very welcoming environment. Steve is very easy to talk to, very easy to coordinate with, and I love the mission he's on. And really what stood out to me when we filmed or recorded my episode on From Survival Mode to Sustainable Service was his ability to connect the symptoms that first responders are experiencing with what they're looking for, and being able to pull that out of the message that I had to share, as first responders are near and dear to my heart. But he has a good way and a knack for pulling out what he knows his audience needs, and he's just an easy person to talk to.
Next up is probably the guy that I had the most fun with, and I hope he does come back. He's given me the word emergency responders versus first responders, among other things. But Adam Neff is someone who worked as a first responder, firefighter, I believe, and EMT paramedic, but also is now a therapist, which made the conversation even more cool and enjoyable. But Adam Neff, thank you for being on episode 222. And here's his message. And thank you. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to have you back on.
What's up, Steve? How's it going? I wanted to give this shout out for RDA. The podcast is excellent. My background is 30 years in the fire service, and now I'm a licensed professional counselor. And the thing that I loved the most about RDA is the conversations are real. Steve is real. There is no need to be anything other than authentic and genuine. And I truly believe that's what makes RDA a bit different than some of the other podcasts, is that we talk about how. We just don't talk about what we need to do. We talk about how we need to do it. So check out RDA. I'm a big fan, and hope to talk to you, Steve, in the near future. I've got some big things in the works.
Well, the first guest on our Milford TV studio is someone I've known for a while, Renee Mansfield. She's a coach. She's worked in the first responder world. She talks about ADD. She talks about different things, about the help and what happened in her program. in department. And, you know, I think it's an interesting read because we talk about administration betrayal, how it feels and how it feels to other people. But Renee, thank you so much for being on, and go listen to her. She had 2 interviews, 225 and 226. So go back and listen to those episodes, and here's her message.
Hey, Steve, and anyone else tuning in. It's Renee Mansfield here. I had a great experience on Steve's podcast. I also ended up being the first guest to break in the Milford TV recording setup. So basically, I paved the way, and you're welcome. We had so much to talk about that we actually split it into 2 episodes, which I'm choosing to interpret as I had brought Steve double the content for the price of one, overachiever energy at its finest. We dove into the hidden symptoms of burnout among first responders, what it actually looks like on the inside, and how my own experience pushed me to start Wayward Wellness Coaching and build programs that help crews, leaders, and entire police and fire departments identify the signs before shit really hits the fan. We also got into the leadership side, how administration can absolutely be the cause, but they can also be the ones who make the biggest impact when they choose to acknowledge the subtle signs early instead of waiting for the crisis to actually occur. If I were adding something today, it would be this. Burnout isn't just a first responder problem. This applies to every part of life. Anytime something is consistently draining someone, that's not a character flaw. It's viewed as data. That's our body saying, hey, pivot here. Not quit, but pivot. There's almost always something that's underneath the drain that's trying to get our attention. And as for Steve, as the host, he's certainly good. My brother-in-law actually didn't know that we had known each other before the episode, but he said that we had vibed so well together. So I'm giving Steve the full credit for that one. He had led the conversation in a way that made it feel very easy, real, and packed with value. So thank you again for having me on, Steve. It was an honor to be a part of the first Milford TV recording, and I'm looking forward to round 2 if you ever need a 2-episode saga.
All right. Well, Amanda was shy. She didn't even do a video, but that's me busting her balls because she busts my balls regularly. But Amanda Rizzoli, 227, just an enjoyable interview. She was also in the Milford TV studios, and she was truly a fun person to talk to. I've considered her someone I knew, and we become very friendly. Now we've become extremely good friends throughout the work with Behind Imagine Beyond, which few people will hear about them too. But that was the stuff that I hope that you guys got from Amanda and all her work she does with community impact, Chris's Corner, among other things. But Amanda, I will reserve how much ball busting I truly want to do. So when we write and you listen to this episode, so here it is.
So in natural Steve fashion, he has been harassing me multiple times a week to get this message over to him. So here we are finally. For those of you who don't know me, my name's clinician Amanda Rizzoli, episode 227 on Steve's wonderful podcast. And, you know, just wanted to say thank you. We had a great experience in studio. It definitely brought that personal level to the podcast, to the audience, so they could get a real feel for what it is that we do for our first responders within the community and outside of the community. I think that, you know, having this new way of interviewing and interacting with other individuals who have a love for this and passion for this work is great. I can't wait to be back on the podcast again so we can continue talking about the importance of, you know, bridging the gap between first responders and home and first responders and their loved ones, and how we can best support them and everyone else. You know, again, looking at the bigger picture here, like what are they dealing with at home? What are some underlying stressors that are going on at home? And, you know, are these coping mechanisms being exacerbated by these stressors that they're dealing with? Again, had a great time with Steve. Always do, always will, you know, building on to growing this big group that we're doing Behind the Badge and Beyond Can't wait to see that take off next year. And just being a great resource and a support for each other. And that's what we're here for. And, I'm very grateful that Steve and I have crossed paths, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for us. Again, episode 227, if you guys want to take a listen again to the podcast, and if anyone has any questions, needs help, or needs concerns, you know where to find all of us. Reach out to Steve, reach out to me, reach out to any of us, and we're all here to help.
Well, the next person is what I consider a friend. We worked together on a particular company with telehealth. We also did a project with Mind Strong Guardians together. And it's certainly someone I've consulted with. She's made referrals towards me. I made referrals towards her. But Blythe Landry is someone that I really, really enjoy. She has a great book that you can look up, Trauma Intelligence. I think it's a perfect book for a whole lot of people. It's just great to have her on. So if you want to go listen to her episode, it's episode 228. And here's her message.
Hi, I'm Blythe Landry, licensed clinical social worker, therapist and coach in trauma and grief, and author of Trauma Intelligence, The Art of Helping in a World Filled with Pain. And I just wanted to hop on real quick and talk about what an amazing experience I've had being on Steve Bisson's podcast twice. He is such a remarkable person, an incredible interviewer, and a collaborative host that allows you to highlight your expertise, but also to have fun and engagement and relationship while doing it. So if you're considering being on his podcast, I cannot recommend it highly enough. And I cannot recommend the experience of just engaging with Steve and his expertise in trauma and helping those who are first responders. You learn a lot while you're also sharing your own professional story and experiences.
Episode 229 is a returning guest who's going to be back again. And we just miss each other in the sense that I like to go to New York and see her, but she's not there when I'm there. She comes in Massachusetts sometimes, and I'm not here while she's here. So we always miss each other. But someone that I really like, Stephanie Simpson. We talk about coaching. We talk about how it applies to first responders and the stressors that they get. Stephanie was on episode 229. One day I'll meet her, I promise. I have an idea now for what we can do as a walk and talk interview. But of course, we got to be able to be in the same place at the same time. But Stephanie, you know how much we've worked together and how much I appreciate you. Hoping we get that project going for 2026. I think that would be great for us. But Stephanie Simpson, episode 229, here's her stuff that she talked about. And thank you, Steph.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Simpson, and I have had the pleasure of being on the podcast several different times. Steve is such a wonderful person to chat with. It is like being with an old friend, and we could go on for hours. So it's good that he keeps us on track. The last time I was on the podcast, we talked about grief and our relationship with grief and how it's important for all of us to name when we're going through grief so that we can work with it and not have it be something that has power over us, but that we work with it and through it. So thank you, Steve, for always inviting me on. I can't wait till the next time.
Well, now another friend. And what I mean by that is it's someone who's helped me run a group. She's a dispatcher. She's the one who makes me always remember that we need to listen to dispatch when we talk about first responders, particularly their experience with what happened. But Lisa Trusas, episode 231 was amazing. She had a lot of insight. I love talking to her. We exchange once in a while when we get a chance. We don't always have a chance, but her episode out of Milford TV Studios was also really helpful and impactful. I think that what you got to really get from that too is not only her work as a dispatch, but her personal story. It's over 2 episodes, part 1 and 2, but it is all under episode 231. So go listen to it. Lisa, love you. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, for letting me be on your podcast. I'm honored to have been able to join. I spoke about substance abuse, and as a first responder, myself as a dispatcher, I am very passionate in regards to substance abuse, whether it's work-related, family-related, or friend-related. Thank you again, Steve.
Now, this is a guy that I had heard many things about, and I truly happy that this year we finally connected. A kindred spirit. I know I'm not a police officer. I know that we do work in different fields, but I think we have the same passion for helping the first responders. And Joe Rizzuti was on episode 233. He was amazing. I can't tell you how much I love Joe, and he busts my balls regularly, which is really important for a great, healthy relationship. All joking aside, Joe, love you. He was on episode 233, 2 parts. So go listen to that. And here is his message.
Hey, this is Joe from the car. You know, the thing I like about being on Steve's podcast is real. There's no BS. It's cultural competency. It's what's going on in the field. These are people who are out there doing it, making it happen, helping our brothers and sisters. You don't get a more realer podcast with a person who understands the culture of working with first responders. There's no phony baloney or somebody that's been in this business 2 minutes that tries to claim cultural competence. This podcast is for those who want to know what's going on right now with our culture today. Thanks, Steve, for the opportunity. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all my friends.
Last but certainly not least, he was the guest in the last episode, 235. And it is someone I've worked with on Mind Strong Guardians, which is no longer available, unfortunately, but really loved working with Justin. We talked about grief. We talked about a lot of different things. Coast Guard himself loved our program that we worked together. Hopefully we continue working together in different ways. The stuff that he talks about is so important. So go back and listen to the last episode, 235, but here is his message.
Hey everyone, Justin Jacobs here, Coast Guard veteran, ICF certified life and grief coach, and founder of Manly Grief Coaching. I recently had the privilege of being a guest on Steve Bison's podcast, Resilience Development in Action. We had an open, honest conversation about military and first responder trauma, grief, mental health, and practical paths to healing. Steve creates a judgment-free space that allows real stories and real solutions to come through. If you serve, have served, or support someone who does, this podcast is a must listen. Go subscribe to Resilience Development in Action today. You'll be glad you did. Thanks, Steve, for the powerful platform.
Well, this completes episode 236, guys. Thank you. I wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, anything that I mix, Boxing Day for my fellow Canadians and British people. But for the holidays, if you want to hear my voice a little bit, here's my last message. I know it's the ending of the episode, but I will talk a little more than I usually do, because one of the things I've done is change this podcast to what it is now, to only for, but it's not only, but for first responders and mental health. It was a big change for me this year, and I appreciate all of you who followed me on this, and for those who have shared my episodes and now have grown my audience a little bit more. So that's on you, and I really appreciate you. So go get that. Go to my website to get back to other stuff that I do, including Fortress and working on first responders wellness stuff, among other things, and my personal business, straight to the point therapy. All this stuff to say that I've done this for over 4.5 years now. This is a labor of love. I know it's going to be a pain. I know I have someone who is an affiliate sponsor, so to speak, with Free.ai. I'm working on another one that's going to probably come out next season, because we're starting already season 13, if you can believe that. So we're going to definitely put a new sponsor here, but please go support the people. The affiliation programs are so key for me. So please do that. And for those of you who get my newsletter, respond to the survey I'm going to put in. If you're a first responder, respond to the survey. If you're a client of mine, respond to the survey. I know I'm a pain in the butt. And if you want to be in the newsletter and want to be in the know, just write a little note in this podcast, and I will definitely put you on to the newsletter. We talk about future guests. We talk about what I'm working on, among other things. So I hope you do that. And I wish you the best for these holidays, and I hope you get some rest. Thank you, guys.
Please like, subscribe, and follow this podcast on your favorite platform. A glowing review is always helpful. And as a reminder, this podcast is for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. If you're struggling with a mental health or substance abuse issue, please reach out to a professional counselor for consultation. If you are in a mental health crisis, call 988 for assistance. This number is available in the United States and Canada.